Welcome back to Power Hour. Thank you for joining us, caring about your world, doing the next right and honorable thing. I'm so glad to have Popeye Jefferson join us today. A couple of weeks ago when we had a problem with our ISDN line, he had to be rescheduled, and I really apologize for that because I was so anxious to talk to him. FederalJack.com is the website. FederalJack is a user-driven news source dedicated to exposing information and multimedia relating to the New World Order takeover of the United States and the rest of the world, which we're actively engaged in, as you all know. We are in the forefront of the battle for the Republic. They are a nonpartisan organization of concerned citizens worldwide. They do not buy into the left-right paradigm, as it is a dualist distraction constructed by the Anglo-American world empire, now widely referred to as the New World Order. You can read the Down the Rabbit Hole YouTube archives. You can also go to federaljack.com, where he does his radio show Down the Rabbit Hole at the Orion Talk Radio Network. Thank you so very much for joining us today, Popeye. It's a pleasure to have you on the Power Hour today.
Joyce, it's an honor to be back on with you.
Oh, you're so kind. Well, we don't have a lack of things to talk about today, that's for sure. If I were to ask you, though, what is sort of forefront in your mind right now of everything you're hearing about, reading about, what would you say the biggest issue is to you today?
That's a good question. I think one of the biggest things we need to pay attention to is the push for what I call Iraq Part 2 over in the Middle East, which I actually was listening to your first hour. And I heard you mentioning Iran and Syria. And interesting thing about Syria, a few weeks ago, I got some information, and I actually talked about this on air. You were talking about the chemical weapons and how they're saying, oh, my God, there's chemical weapons, and we need to go in. And the other thing they're saying now is that I've seen it. Oh, Syria might attack the rebels. I'm doing air quotes. The rebels, the rebelling citizens. They might attack them with chemical weapons. Now, from what I've gathered, once I heard this and I looked into it, a few of my sources, one of them who's very reliable, told me that, and who happens to be in the military, told me that he knows of special forces, and this was a couple weeks ago, at the time they were bringing chemical weapons in to Syria, as in they were going to give them to the rebels. So he said, keep an eye out for something to happen and then be blamed on Assad. So I just thought that was interesting that Fox News was bringing up the chemical thing again. Are they setting it up for something? Who knows?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. And then would they say with the next breath, and don't you think we probably would need to send about 50,000 troops in if they do find out about these chemical weapons? Oh, come on. I mean, how much more do they need to tell us except for time, place, date of when we're going to go attack these people and start, the knocking out their air defenses and just killing men, women, and children?
And the American public, at least a good portion of it, will buy it up saying, yeah, it's for our security. We got to do it, Look, that guy, I heard Al-Qaeda's over there. What happens if Al-Qaeda gets them chemical weapons? I have news for you. Al-Qaeda already has those weapons if they're over there because we support Al-Qaeda, and we also brought those weapons over there. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Absolutely. But if you're watching television, it's all about, was Palin really qualified to be a VP? Or, the ridiculous stuff that they're still, cussing and discussing on television that has nothing to do with anything, and yet we are just about ready to start killing innocent men, women, and children again. It just breaks my heart to think that we're about ready to Iraq-Iran now. Iraq-Iran. That's a statement. That's what we're going to do to them. And I just can't believe we're in this position.
And people, like you said, people get caught up in this, movie, this fantasy of what's going on right now with the election. Romney said this, Obama said that, Paul Ryan said this,
yes.
Vice President Biden said that. It's all a game.
Now, do you wish that if you could do it all over again, that you had never seen through all of this facade, if you had never seen or had the discernment to see this, would you like to be living like the rest of the people out there that are going and shopping and getting the greatest, latest deals at the mall and going to the movies on Friday night and partying on Saturday night and then just, going to church on Sunday, of course, and then going to work on Monday and just living this life of there's really no problems? I mean, do you wish that you didn't see what we see when you watch television or when you hear what they have to say?
Never. Not once. I would never, if I had the opportunity to take the, quote-unquote red pill again, I would do so every time. I would never trade my place in history right now and what I know and what I'm aware of with anyone or for anything at all.
And do you believe that, Joan of Arc, who was allegedly burned at the stake and allegedly was reported to have said at the time that she was burned at the stake at the tender age of 19 years of age, I was born for this time? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, 110%. I wouldn't trade my time here at all for anything, Joyce. This is not just because it's an exciting time to live in, but I have the chance to help affect an evolutionary change inside the minds of humans, humanity as a whole. And I have a chance to take part in that. And I consider that an honor. It's interesting how life sometimes turns out. And, just like when I was in the military, I take my, my duty seriously, and I'll give it my all until I can't do so no more. And hopefully before then, what I do and what others like you've been a big inspiration to me over the years. Hopefully we'll make a positive change. And I honestly see that already happening. So, I know it's worth it. So no, I would never take the blue pill. I would always take the red pill.
And what does that mean? Blue pill and red pill. So some people.
You ever see The Matrix?
I know what it is, but go ahead and tell the listeners. Maybe people haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, for the for the people that don't know, The Matrix, it's the blue pill, red pill is kind of an analogy. In The Matrix, Morpheus said to Neo, look, here's your last chance. If you want to know the truth, the reality of things, you can take the red pill. Or you take a blue pill, go back to sleep, and when you wake up in your bed tomorrow, you'll believe whatever you want to believe. And I would never, ever take the blue pill. Every day I would choose to know the reality of the situation. Because if I know what's going on, Joyce, then I can be mentally prepared and handle it accordingly, as opposed to if I don't have any clue.
Bingo. And that's what we want for our listeners. This is all about preparation. It's not about fear. It's about preparation. Because knowing what's going on, if you watch television, you get this surreal idea of what it's all about, because that's for people that don't think. But when you start thinking and you start hearing these things and you start seeing how they are leading these people into creation of scenarios that they want us to go down, in, like you say, down the rabbit hole. I mean, how much clearer can that be in that analogy? But that's what they want us to do, and they want us to forget about life as they are manipulating it in front of our eyes. They want us to see this, everything's fine, go back to sleep. Let's talk about the Aurora shooting, because just when everybody was starting to say, man, there's some things that don't make sense about this Aurora shooting, and we have now this nurse who was at the scene or who was taking care of these individuals who has now died unexpectedly. 42-year-old mother has now died, mother of, I believe, 3. She drowned in a swimming incident. She was, who knows, maybe she was going to talk, maybe she wasn't, I don't know. But just when we had all of this now starting to fall apart, even the mayor of Aurora was saying, there's something else going on here. That's what we were told, and by someone who called them. Now you've got another shooting that conveniently takes place another couple of weeks, and all of the interest on the Aurora shooting is gone. Did you notice that?
Yep, and then when you look into the second shooting at the Sikh Indian temple, there's red flags with that whole situation as well. Like, apparently, and I'm not kidding when I say this, Joyce, the security cameras weren't functioning properly at the time, so they didn't record anything. I can't make this up. How many times has that little red flag flown at other events where the cameras didn't work?
What about the Aurora shooting? Were there cameras there? Obviously there are. So what happened?
Yep, same thing. And most of those movie theaters, unbeknownst to the patrons, have cameras in the theaters now. And they have night vision, so they can see when the lights are off and the movie's playing what's going on.
Wow.
So how come there's no video footage? Just like the Gabrielle Giffords shooting, too. Not one video has ever been released. Why won't the FBI release the over 200 videos they had from the Giffords shooting? Just, when you're not forthcoming with your quote-unquote evidence, red flag.
And of course, they blame us because we would even challenge it. How dare we ask questions like, where's the video? Because we're all being told that we must have these videos all the time, 24 hours a day. Focus on you wherever you are, whatever you're doing, because you might be a terrorist. And then when a terrorist event happens, they're never working. So why do they do it?
Right. Well, that's what I said about the Aurora, Colorado shooting. When I went on air, actually that night, and I had been looking into it all day, and there were a lot of red flags. And one of the big things I said was, if anything, this points out that the police state does not work, because this took place in a gun-free zone where there's cameras and there's supposedly police officers. At least there were police officers up the street at the police station that wasn't too far away, and yet you still had a quote-unquote madman come in and shoot people. So the theory of cameras and cops just doesn't seem to work.
Even Oklahoma City bombing. On a federal building, they had cameras there, and those are missing also. We'll be back after this 4-minute break with Popeye Jefferson. Stay tuned to the Power Hour. Welcome back to Power Hour, 24 minutes after the hour. So glad to have you join us today. You could be anywhere, but you have chosen to be at the Power Hour. And so has our guest today, Popeye Jefferson. I want to encourage you to go to federaljack.com. You can hear more at his radio show, Down the Rabbit Hole. You can see all about that at thepowerhour.com. It's all about trying to figure and put the pieces of the puzzle together. Well, I love it when we have people like Popeye that are able to help us put the pieces of the puzzle together. And one of the pieces of the puzzle, or one of the puzzles right now, is Aurora shooting and also the Sikh temple. Whatever happened there obviously was by design, and I think a lot of people have figured that one out. And I think even the non-choir members have figured that out. People are starting to ask questions, all kinds of people, about that incident. What concerns you about, let me just say one thing that concerns me about the Aurora shooting was that they had no ambulances that came to the facility, and they had to put all the bodies or all the injured people into police cars and take them to the hospital, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I heard the police recording on that one. That makes no sense to me. You don't take injured people and just throw them into a backseat of a police car. That just doesn't work for me. And then the fact that I'd like for you to comment on the fact that the bodies were not removed for 18 hours. The dead bodies were not removed for 18 hours until 7 p.m. the following day, which I don't understand that, because sometimes people may be alive and you just make the decision, arbitrary decision that, well, I think they're dead, so we'll just step over them for 18 hours. None of this makes any sense to me. Your comments, Popeye.
Well, yeah, that in itself doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know that they usually, when there's a body at a scene, they have to wait for the medical examiner to come out. And as the medical examiner examines each body, once the body's examined, they'll mark off, the area where the body was and remove the body and take it back to the morgue, because, after a certain period of time being dead, we start to break down and stink. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be, mean to any of the victims, but that's the reality of the situation. So they would have. It's just weird that they waited 18 hours. That's weird in itself. That's a bit excessive. And
well, there's also the concern about, but there's the concern about the forensic evaluation of the bodies also, because lividity sets in. The changing of the fluids in the body. I mean, all kinds of things take place that you need to get them to a morgue and get them refrigerated right away. And this flies in the face of any common sense of the medical community.
It does. And the other big red flag you pointed out was the fact that the ambulances weren't there. They were using cop cars. And if people say, well, the police thought it was an active shooting and they were being heroes. No. Okay. The cops are not the ambulance corps. They're
not trained.
They don't know. It's like when I was a firefighter, and once in a while you'd get a comp. We used to call them the guinea pigs. If they went up to a house and they would go to kick the door in and be hero cop, and it would end up being a backdraft, and the guy would get blown across the street. And we used to tell them, that's the reason why you guys aren't firefighters, because you don't know what to look for. I don't go out and try to beat criminals to death with my hose. You shouldn't try to go out and shoot fires with your guns. And it's the same thing. There's no reason for them to be EMTs. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's another red flag. Big one. Why were they throwing people in the cop cars? Why wouldn't they let the ambulance take them? Because, to me, from my viewpoint, less witnesses, less interaction with the people that were injured.
Yes. Less
and look
witnesses.
What happened to the one nurse. You brought her up, too. She drowned mysteriously, suddenly.
And I talked to a gentleman who said that theater has steel doors, doors, concrete with steel around it, and that there's no way that people can get in those doors. Otherwise, half of the kids in Aurora would be sneaking in the back doors. There's no way you can do that. And so that whole story didn't make any sense. The very fact that he was supposedly, the shooter, supposedly, bought a ticket at first was the first story. He bought a ticket with, of course, 4 weapons under his garb, wearing a gas mask. I mean, come on. And then the second story was, no, he didn't do that, and he went in the back door, and it keeps changing. Do they change the stories because they don't have it straight? Because surely they must have it straight before of how it's going to happen or go down.
Well, usually they have an idea, but Murphy's Law kicks in with these situations too. I mean, the people that perpetrate these things and plan these things, sometimes we tend to, when we talk about them, in the third person, we end up putting them up on this, almost like this pedestal of, a bad person. Whether or not whether or not we frame them in a bad light, they're still somewhat up on this pedestal, and they're being, they're the bad guy. And for some reason, maybe it's human, maybe it's our humanity, but we think that they're all powerful and that bad stuff doesn't happen to them, and they have the same horrible crappy luck we do.
Yeah, we'll be back after this 3-minute break with Popeye Jefferson. Stay tuned to the Power Hour. This is Joyce Riley. We're talking with Popeye Jefferson today, federaljack.com, the website, Down the Rabbit Hole, his radio show. And we're talking about the horrific shooting in Aurora, Colorado, of which we have not heard of any firsthand people other than the ones saying it didn't happen quite that way. And, of course, that's disconcerting. So the judge put a gag order on all the people that were attending that theater. Now, that doesn't make any sense to me. Right there, Popeye, why a gag order on people that were attending or worked there at the theater?
It probably had something to do with all those reports that originally started coming out, and I always tell my listeners this: pay attention to the local media. Don't watch Fox, don't watch CNN, try to get it to the local media, because the tidbits of truth always come out through the local media and then get picked up and erased and deleted, and then I'm sure the program director or whoever at that news station gets told that goes into the memory hole. But it always comes out within the first few hours. And what did you see? Witnesses saying there were 2 people. Hey, somebody got a phone call about 15 minutes in, got up, walked over to the door, and opened the door. Now, the fact that the fire alarm didn't go off is another big thing. Now, a lot of times if you have a super packed theater, you'll notice the usher at about maybe 5-10 minutes before the end of the movie will go down, and if there's a door on either side, which usually there is, they'll go over and you'll see the doors. They'll go to the doors, and they'll open them. You'll see them messing around. What they do is they're unlocking them. They're turning off the fire alarm system so that when they open the door to let you out the back of the theater, the alarm doesn't go off. Well, how does this guy, who's getting a random average Joe, right, just someone in the theater, gets a phone call, how does he get up and go over and open the door without setting off the alarm? And how did that not set off anybody who was watching the cameras in the theater? How about the fact that the theater is in let's say, a not very good area, right? It's got known gang activity in the area, and you have a midnight screening of a very violent movie where 4 theaters with 300 people each are packed to the gills, and there's not one police officer pulling security detail. And so people understand, That's odd, especially considering a guy I had on my radio broadcast who grew up in Aurora. And he told me that that's extremely odd, especially for that area. Again, high crime area because there's gang activity in the vicinity. And the police station, by the way, is right up the street. So why were there no cops at this event? Again, 1,200 people, 4 theaters, 300 each, not one police officer. And here's the real big shady part. There was a warning put out like 2 months beforehand by the Department of Homeland Security through their Fusion Center. And it was put out, it's called a roll call release, and underneath it says, in conjunction with the ITACG. Well, the ITACG is this group, it stands for the Interagency Threat Assessment and Coordination Group. And their motto is to enhance intelligence sharing with state, local, tribal, and private sector partners. It's like an information sharing group amongst local law enforcement agencies. And there's not that many. There's maybe 15 or 20 at the most that take part in this thing. But when you go to the members page and you look, right on the front of the members page, I'll give you one guess what police department is attached to this group. The Aurora, Colorado Police Department.
Wow.
Now, they worked in coordination with the DHS to put out this roll call release 2 months beforehand, warning of a theater attack where a guy would walk in with a machine gun, in their words, not mine, or an assault weapon, we'll say, and shoot people randomly, and he might even use grenades. And then 2 months later, the exact playbook, taken right from this playbook, this roll call release, this event happens in the very movie theater down the street from one of the police departments that was involved in giving the DHS the information to pump out this quote-unquote roll call release from the Fusion Center anyway, in the beginning. So, I mean, think about that for a minute. Think about, do you think that's a coincidence? Really?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't look at that and think it's a coincidence. I can't. That's a big red flag. What do you think, Joyce?
Oh, absolutely. The whole thing is a red flag. The person that I talked to that said, or that I got communication from that said there is no way that those doors were ever unlocked. There's no way he could have gotten in. That right there just totally tears apart the story. So, I mean, and all the things that you're mentioning here, it was an exercise or an exercise gone wrong, or I don't know what it is. But what I thought was so surprising is we never heard about people rushing into the theater to help, or people that were outside the theater, or people working in the theater. We never heard anything from those people whatsoever. It was almost as if this situation occurred in a vacuum somewhere. Then you have no ambulances coming to the scene, which the Aurora Hospital is right there. And I mean, it's just, none of it makes any sense. So then
why wasn't there a gun battle? This guy was dressed full body armor. He's dressed supposedly to be in a gun battle. He was better equipped than they send some of our Marines and soldiers to go fight in these wars overseas. Mm-hmm. And yet he didn't sling any lead with any of the police, and the cops, who are known for tasing ladies, pregnant women for not signing a traffic ticket, mm-hmm. in the same breath, didn't exchange any gunfire with a guy that just lit up an entire movie theater and was wearing body armor and had weapons. Does that make sense? And
he yelled uncle, obviously, and then said, oh, and by the way, don't go in my apartment because it's booby-trapped.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go in my apartment because I wouldn't want any officers to get hurt. But then the media wants you to believe that this guy's the Joker and just hell-bent on causing anarchy and chaos. You can't. That's like talking out of both sides of your mouth. You can't have both.
But didn't the Joker have green hair?
Yeah, that was a really, whoever tried to bring that point out, and, oh my God, it's the Joker, whoever thought that little ditty up was not doing their homework at all.
Or was that by design, orange hair? Now, I have this issue with orange and blue, orange and blue, orange and blue. They printed the inside of prisons now, light blue. Whenever there's something significant they want you to see on television, it's in orange and blue. So I kind of think that was almost done by design. I mean, everything they do is by design. Everything. So, I don't know. It just reeks, though, of
the whole thing rates.
And
look at how they look at as soon as he put the gag order, like you said, right? And then you see the video of him in court, and he's nodding off. It looks like he's on heroin. So you know he's obviously on something. And what did the media do? They instantly ran out there and pushed. They actually had anchors on CNN or whatever you want to call them, the fake news people, whatever, Ken dolls. They would go up there and they would be like, oh, can you believe the gall of this person? He's trying to play stupid, like he doesn't know what's going on. And it's like, dude, he's obviously drugged out. So as soon as people started talking and saying, hey, this guy looks like he's drugged out, is he on drugs? That was it. Video cameras were no longer allowed in the courtroom. Gee, I wonder why.
Yes, and but they said that was a defense's choice because they didn't want him to be embarrassed. So the defense counsel, allegedly, who that woman there that looked like his attorney, looked like she didn't even know what she was doing there either.
She's a public defender.
Allegedly. I don't know who she is.
So she's conveniently appointed to be his defense counsel. So who's giving her marching orders? Right.
She looked like she was totally disconnected from the whole situation. I don't know. It just is so bad. But, their people died. That's the sad part. We're talking about people's lives who have been destroyed now, families that have been destroyed as a result of these deaths. And we're picking apart the event that occurred. But, there are people that are hurting. And to me, I don't understand why more people from 9/11, more people from the OKC bombing, more people from this don't say, wait a second. I don't get this, unless they're so highly influenced by propaganda that they can't even see the truth. I don't know. But let's move on to the Sikh temple, because that situation is just about as crazy because they said at first there were 4 people that were in there doing the shooting.
Yeah, the initial reports came out from eyewitnesses, 4 people, and then instantaneously, no, it's only one guy, and conveniently, he offed himself before we could ever bring him into custody, right? So, case closed. We don't even need a courtroom drama like you're going to have with Holmes. And that's why they closed off all the video and everything in that. So that, that'll end up being like Jared Loughner. Suddenly just pleads guilty, case closed. Look, the whole thing's tied up with a pretty red bow, and it gets put away, and they just move on.
Well, I thought it was interesting because many times when they would bring up the name of Holmes, the guy that did the shooting in Aurora, they would put the picture of Jared Loughner on the screen. And it was kind of like, we want you to think really bad stuff, and we want you to be programmed into believing that he is just like the other guy, and therefore no questions about it. But and the whole Jared Loughner thing is still bizarre. He's supposedly still in Springfield, Missouri, being medicated into sanity, which doesn't make any sense. And then he, pleaded, what did he plead guilty and, whatever, have your way with me, whatever.
Yeah, that's it. He pled guilty, so that's it. Case closed.
And we never saw a picture of him again.
Yeah, the only picture they've ever shown of him is that supposed mugshot where he's bald and he looks insane. Mm-hmm. That's the only shot you ever see of him.
Yeah, that's the only one they use, which may or may not be his real picture. Who knows? Because we were never allowed to see him on camera or see him in court, which conveniently happens also, is that, cameras were not allowed in court. Wonder why. Well, back to the Sikh temple. That is a no-gun zone. That is a place that they were safe, that nobody would open up and fire back at them, I'm sure. So that seemed to be an appropriate place to have 4 people go in and shoot up more people and destroy more families. The audacity of people with no soul to take away the lives of innocent people is just beyond what I ever thought we would see. But it makes no sense now. Let's go back to even Waco. We thought that was kind of, did he deserve it? Did those people deserve it? Nobody really thought they deserved it, but it's been forgotten, totally forgotten.
All these families should get together, 9/11, Waco, OKC, these shootings, anything that there's evidence to contradict the quote-unquote official version, or that you think that the government or whoever, the authorities, the powers that shouldn't be, are lying to you. Can you imagine if all these families got together, Joyce, and sat down and started talking and just sharing information? I guarantee you there would be a ton of truth coming out of there. Like, in the instance of 9/11 victims' families, I know that one of the things that keeps them from speaking is a lot of them ended up signing contracts when they got the money right after 9/11 happened. They got the federal money, and the Fed stepped in, and we have to give them money to help. You know, they lost their primary income. You know, the husband died, whatever. So they would come in and they would tell these people basically, if you take this money, you sign this contract. And it was like, you can't sue the government ever, no matter what comes out, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, whatever. You can't go after them. You can't complain. So a lot of them sign pretty much a contract with the feds. So some of them just can't go out there, probably for fear of prosecution or whatever coming back on them. Maybe they fear the feds would enforce whatever that contract said. So there's a lot of them that are kept quiet by that too, which a lot of people don't know.
I want to open up the phone lines if anybody would like to ask questions of you on any of these issues. The number is 855-995-6923, 855-995-6923. If you have a question or comment of Popeye, if you'd like to share what you know or ask him about some situation. The world seems to be a pretty scary place for a lot of people, but when you see through it, I don't seem to have the fear that the average person has out there, and I'm really grateful for that. It's because we are looking at what is versus what they want us to believe is. We'll be back after this 3-minute break with Popeye Jefferson. This is Joyce Riley in the Power Hour. Welcome back to the Power Hour. Thank you for joining us. It's all about the truth, wherever you can find it, and we believe we find it at the Power Hour. Thank you for joining us today. We're joined by Popeye Jefferson. Check out his website, federaljack.com. Really excellent website. Good information there. We're going to take some callers right now. Let's go to Chris in Kentucky. Chris in Kentucky, you're on the air with Popeye. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you, Joyce. Popeye, this is fantastic information. This is what the whole idea is. We need to investigate these stories because the mindset, what's going on in the media, is the gun control. The cell phone will save you. The kids don't need this. All you have to do is push this and that. This is the control that they want to get on us. And we want to get to the real issues, who was really behind the Aurora shooting. And number two is if there's any EMTs in the Aurora area that know something about this or are very suspicious, contact Genesis. And if you don't want to give your name, that's okay too. But we need to get to the bottom of this.
Good point. Thank you very much for Chris. That's excellent. Yes, we need whistleblowers. Julian Assange has put his life on the line. I happen to believe he's doing the right thing. I think he's not giving out all the information that he has, but, we need whistleblowers. We desperately need whistleblowers. And I spent 13 years as a federal Ketom whistleblower. And yeah, it does make mincemeat of your life. It does chew your life up for a while, but it's all worth it. I would do it again. I would absolutely do it again. In case you haven't seen it, it's Riley v. St. Luke's Episcopal Hospital, and I know what it's like to have to go before all those people and do the right and honorable thing all by yourself. Let's go to Todd in California. Todd in California, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, good morning, Joyce and Popeye. Joyce, I just want to say I love your show.
Thank you.
And Popeye, I've been following you for, about 3 or 4 years now. I found you on YouTube, and you're kind of a hard person to follow because what are you up to, Popeye 7 now? Because all the channels have been messed with. But anyway, the points I wanted to make, every one of these shootings from Loeffner to the Aurora shooting to now the Wisconsin shooting, when you look into these things further, I see that, they all seem staged to me. One thing that really struck my attention on the Aurora shooting, now they came out and said 70 people were shot. You would have thought that the front of that place would have looked like a triage center. Yes. There should have been ambulance. You didn't see one person on a gurney, not one. And right there, to me, that made me start thinking, hey, something's not right here. And let's see, I wrote a couple things down. Oh, and then the interviews of the people who were shot. You know, you won't see this on mainstream television, but like Popeye said, I watched what was coming out of the news out of Aurora. And there was a guy that he had been shot in the chest the day before, supposedly, but the very next morning he's sitting there doing an interview, laughing and joking, and another person I saw, they said she was shot in the neck, but when they showed a picture of her neck, I mean, the wound was healed. It was already scarred, and that was the day after. And I'm thinking,
all right, I got to move on. Yeah, Todd, you're making some really good points here. Popeye, you want to make any comments before we move on to Tim in Florida?
I think he hit the nail right on the head with the whole triage thing out in the parking lot. Again, where were the ambulances? Where were the bleeding people? Where was everything all over the parking lot? You'd see it anywhere else. Why not here? So good points.
Yes, and you never saw any blood on Giffords either. Never saw anything that looked like a real situation. I mean, I'm not saying she didn't get injured. I just don't get it. All right, 1 minute, 10-second break, because I've worked in an emergency room before, and I know how much blood there is. 1 minute, 10-second break. We'll be back. And Tim in Florida, you're up next with Popeye Jefferson. Go to federaljack.com. Back in 1 minute, 10 seconds. Welcome back to the Power Hour. Thank you for joining us. Caring about your world. Trying to figure it all out. We're talking to Popeye Jefferson, taking your phone calls at the Power Hour. In this next hour, Brandon Smith will join us, and we're going to go through the financial fraud issues and facade. And I think you're going to find it very interesting. I'm going to ask him, if he were a globalist, what would he do? And what would he be doing? And how would the world continue? And I think we need to look at not only what is happening, but what the direction is of the future. Let's go to Tim in Florida. Tim, you're on the air. Go ahead, please, with Popeye Jefferson. Go ahead, please.
Yes, hello, Joyce. And
Hi there.
Popeye, your information is fantastic. I wanted to speak about this as pertaining to, of course, their purpose for all of this is for gun control. There have been several articles that have been posted in the last few months about that have made reference to a UN conference they had in 2001 that kind of set out a master plan for global gun control. And it actually put out a plan of action for gun control around the world. It was called the Program of Action to Prevent, Combat, and Eradicate the Illicit Trade in Small Arms. And there was a subtitle in this master plan that was entitled At the Regional Level, and it spelled out to conclude relevant legally binding instruments aimed at preventing, combating, or eradicating trade in small arms, and sub-regional or regional mechanisms, in particular trans-border customs cooperation and networks for information sharing among law enforcement, border and customs control agencies, with a view to preventing small arms trade. Now, this was written in July of 2001, and that sounds exactly like the Beyond the Border Action Plan that that Obama has, and Canada have put out here recently.
And so where do you think we're headed right now? Where do you think we're headed?
This brings me to an area that's been vastly underreported. It's this, and to tie the puzzle pieces together, all of these nations that we're going into, Joyce, it's not even nation building. It's worse than that. We are region building. No, it's nation destroying. It is, but what they're from their point of view, they are building these regional integration cooperation areas. Well, I'll tell you what, we're getting into too many different areas, and we've only got a couple of minutes left here. We've covered too many areas, but I thank you very much for your comments on... Well, if I may say one thing to you, Joyce, this region thing, there's 10 of these regions, and you guys have been an inspiration to me. I can't cover all the information you have, but I do know about this region building, and I have a website, if I could give it to you on air or off air. Go ahead and give it quickly. It's circumspectnews.com, and it'll spell out these 10 regions with their names and acronyms, and you'll see how they're built in Pakistan. Okay. All right, I got to move on. Thank you very much for that. Circumspectnews.com. I want to get Johnny B in here and Phil in Florida before the end of the show. Go ahead, Johnny B. You're on the air.
Hey, morning, folks.
Morning.
I want to change track on you just a little bit here, Joyce.
Okay.
I would like to tell everybody out there in Power Team land, if they haven't been to federaljack.com, get on there. If you're doing any research whatsoever, he's got a lot of pertinent interviews that you really need to hear. Okay?
Yes, he sure does.
My question to Popeye, how would you feel about, as terrible as all this stuff is that we're looking into here, does it not seem like it's just a rope-a-dope where they're trying to keep us distracted from something that we really should be paying attention to?
Well, a lot of it's even more than that. They're pushing out. It is a rope-a-dope. That's a great way to describe it. And a lot of it has to do with fear. They push fear because fear is how they control everybody. Because people don't react normally when they're afraid. Your body goes from growth to protection. You only have two modes. And if you're in protection all the time, which we are now, because it's 24-hour fear, 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 no matter what, whether it's a shooter or a terrorist or an asteroid or whatever, it's always fear, fear, fear. And they put that out so that you're always in protection mode and you're not in growth.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I want to thank you, Popeye. It's been amazing. Thank you for joining us today. You can listen to his program, Down the Rabbit Hole. It's at the Power Hour News section. Thank you so much, Popeye, for joining us. FederalJack.com.